That is philosophy of Paul Kurtz. That breaks blind belief. The most dangerous belief is the one you never question. There is a belief living inside your mind right now that you have never really examined. You did not choose it. You inherited it from your family, from your culture, from your religion, from your school, from the stories you were told before you were old enough to say, why? And here is the uncomfortable truth. The beliefs you never question are the ones that control you the most. Taking responsibility for what you allow to guide your life. This is the heart of a powerful modern tradition in philosophy, shaped by thinkers like Paul Kurtz. A tradition that insists on one simple rule: no belief is too sacred to be examined. Blind belief is not just a mistake in thinking. It is a failure of courage. Section 1. The real danger is not ignorance. We usually think the opposite of knowledge is ignorance. We say, the problem is that people don't know enough. But there is a deeper danger. Ignorance can be cured. You can teach facts. You can share books, data, arguments, experiences. But what do you do with someone who refuses to examine what they already believe? That is the real danger. Because once a belief settles into your identity, you stop treating it as a claim about the world. You start treating it as a piece of yourself. And when a belief becomes me, questioning it feels like self-harm. Doubt feels like betrayal. Evidence feels like an enemy. At that point the belief is no longer on trial. You are. This is where dogma begins. Section 2. How dogma is born and protected. Dogma is not just strong belief. Dogma is belief that has been placed beyond question. It sounds like this. This is just how it is. This is what we have always believed. Good people do not question this. If you doubt this, something is wrong with you. Notice what is happening here. The belief is not being defended with reasons. It is being defended with shame, fear, and loyalty. The message is simple. Do not ask why, just obey. Philosophers and skeptics like Paul Kurtz spent their lives studying this pattern. In religions, in political ideologies, in cults, in conspiracy theories, and in everyday cultural assumptions. The pattern repeats. Dogma begins when a belief becomes too precious to question. When doubt is treated as betrayal. When loyalty replaces reasoning. When tradition replaces evidence. When emotion replaces clarity. Dogma does not survive because it is strong. It survives because questioning it is forbidden. Section 3. Why blind belief is a moral problem, not just an intellectual one. It is tempting to think this is just an intellectual game, a debate between clever people. But blind belief is not only an intellectual problem, it is a moral problem. Why? Because your beliefs do not stay inside your head. They shape your choices. Your choices shape other people's lives. If you hold a belief that you have never tested, and that belief tells you who is pure and who is impure, who deserves respect and who deserves contempt, who deserves protection and who deserves punishment, then your unexamined belief is now writing the script of someone else's life. Refusing to examine your beliefs is not a neutral act. It is a decision with consequences. A belief that has never been tested can justify anything. A belief that cannot be questioned can excuse anything. A belief that is protected from criticism can become dangerous without ever noticing that it has crossed a line. Section 4. 3 things your mind keeps mixing up. One of the most powerful insights in this critical tradition is that the human mind constantly confuses 3 things. 1. What feels true. 2. What is familiar. 3. What is supported by evidence. Let's separate them. What feels true comes from emotion. Fear can make an idea feel true. Hope can make an idea feel true. Guilt, pride, loyalty, love, all of these can wrap a belief in a powerful emotional glow. What is familiar comes from upbringing. The stories you heard as a child, the rituals you watched, the slogans you repeated, the heroes you were told to admire, the villains you were told to hate. Familiarity feels safe, so familiar beliefs feel right, even when we have never examined them. What is supported by evidence comes from disciplined thinking, from checking sources, from comparing explanations, from asking, what would count against this? From being willing to say, I was wrong. When these 3 things are mixed together, blind belief is born. Something feels true because it is familiar. So we assume it must be supported by evidence, even when no real evidence has ever been checked. Section 5. The trick of vague language. There is another trick that protects dogma vagueness. Many dogmatic ideas survive because they are never stated clearly. They use poetic language, they use symbolic phrases, they use emotional metaphors that sound deep, but avoid precise meaning. The result is simple. If a belief cannot be clearly stated, it cannot be clearly tested. If it cannot be clearly tested, it can hide from criticism. You cannot prove it wrong, because you can never pin down what it is actually saying. That is why this critical tradition demands clarity. It asks, what exactly is being claimed? What exactly is supposed to happen in the real world? What exactly is the evidence? What exactly would count as a disproof? If nothing can count against a belief, then it is not really a claim about reality. It is a psychological shield, a story we tell ourselves to feel safe, not a map of how the world actually works. Section 6. A free mind is not an empty mind. At this point many people get scared. They think, if I question everything, will I be left with nothing? Will I become empty, cold, or lost? The answer from this humanist critical tradition is clear. A free mind is not a mind without beliefs. A free mind is a mind whose beliefs have survived questioning. You are not asked to live in permanent confusion. You are asked to live in honest responsibility. Intellectual freedom is not the freedom to believe anything you like, just because you like it. Intellectual freedom is the freedom to reject bad reasons, the freedom to demand evidence, the freedom to change your mind when the facts change. Section 7. Doubt is honesty, not weakness. Many of us were raised to think that doubt is a sign of weakness. If you really believed, you would never doubt. If you doubt, your heart is not pure. If you question, you are disloyal. But in this critical humanist view, doubt is not a defect. Doubt is honesty. Doubt is the moment you stop pretending that you are infallible. Doubt is the beginning of understanding. Doubt is the refusal to fake certainty just to feel safe or to please others. You cannot inherit truth the way you inherit a house or a family name. You have to do the work yourself. Section 8. A worldview should be earned, not received. This leads to one of the most powerful ideas in this tradition. A worldview should be earned, not received. You are not a storage device for other people's conclusions. You are a mind that can examine, compare, and decide. Earned does not mean perfect. It means examined. A worldview that is earned has been tested against questions like, why do I believe this? Where did this idea come from? Who benefits if I never question it? Is it supported by evidence, or only by repetition and emotion? Would I still believe this if I had been born in a different country, a different religion, a different time? These questions are not comfortable. They can shake your identity. They can make you feel lost for a while. But that temporary discomfort is the price of living with integrity. Section 9. Holding your own beliefs to your own standard. There is a simple test of honesty at the center of this whole approach. Do you hold your own beliefs to the same standard you demand from others? If you expect other people to justify their claims, are you willing to justify your own? If you criticize other people's dogmas, are you willing to examine your own sacred assumptions? If you say, no one is always right, do you include yourself, your group, your tradition? Being wrong in this view is not a humiliation, it is a step toward clarity. Every time you discover you were wrong, you have just traded one illusion for a slightly clearer view of reality. That is progress. Section 10. Practical questions you can start asking today. So how do you live this out in your actual messy everyday life? You do not need a PhD. You do not need perfect logic. You need a habit of honest questions. Here are some you can start with. When I feel angry or defensive about a belief, what exactly am I protecting? The truth, or my identity? When I hear a claim that matches what I already believe, do I relax my standards of evidence just because it feels good? When I hear a claim that challenges my beliefs, do I raise my standards of evidence just because it feels uncomfortable? Am I more interested in being right or in getting it right? If I could not use tradition, authority, or fear, how would I defend this belief? If someone from a completely different background Use the same style of argument for their belief. Would I accept it? These questions are not meant to destroy you. They are meant to wake you up. Section 11. The cost of protecting fragile beliefs. There is a hidden cost to protecting fragile beliefs. When you build your identity around ideas that cannot be questioned, you have to spend your life defending those ideas from reality. You avoid certain books. You avoid certain people. You avoid certain questions. You avoid certain parts of yourself. You shrink your world to protect your comfort. But the more you protect the belief, the more it owns you. You are not guarding it. It is guarding you. From growth, from complexity, from truth. Section 12. The courage to let a belief fall. Here is the hardest part. If you truly commit to examining your beliefs, some of them will fall. A belief may collapse under the weight of evidence. A belief may dissolve when you finally say its claims out loud. In clear, simple language, a belief may vanish when you realize it was never supported by anything except fear, habit, and group pressure. In that moment, you will be tempted to panic. Who am I without this belief? What will my family think? What will my community say? What will be left of me? But there is another way to see it. If a belief cannot survive your questions, it never deserved the power it had over your life. Let it fall. You are not losing yourself. You are losing a cage. Section 13. What a free mind really looks like. So what does a free mind look like in practice? A free mind still makes commitments. A free mind still loves people. Still takes stands. Still says, this matters. But a free mind does something else as well. It keeps a small space of humility around every belief. It remembers, I might be wrong. I can learn more. I can change my mind without losing my dignity. A free mind does not worship doubt. It uses doubt as a tool. A free mind does not worship certainty. It treats certainty as a temporary state, always open to revision, if reality demands it. A free mind does not confuse loudness with strength, or tradition with truth, or comfort with accuracy. Section 14. Your next step. So now the question comes back to you, right now in your life. Which belief have you never really examined? Because you are afraid of what you might find. It might be about your religion. It might be about your country. It might be about your family. It might be about yourself. You do not have to destroy it today. You do not have to announce anything to anyone. Just start with one honest act. Write the belief down, in clear, simple language. Then ask, why do I believe this? Where did it come from? What evidence would count against it? If someone from another culture used the same style of argument for the opposite belief, would I accept it? You do not owe blind loyalty to any idea, even if you were raised inside it, especially if you were raised inside it. Ending. The invitation. In the end, the message of this critical humanist tradition can be put very simply. Do not let untested beliefs decide the shape of your life. Any belief that cannot face questions does not deserve to guide you. If a belief collapses under evidence, let it collapse. If a belief demands obedience instead of understanding, walk away from it. If a belief needs fear to survive, it is not protecting you. You are protecting it. A free mind is not the mind that believes the most. It is the mind that examines the most. So here is the invitation. Reject blind belief. Reject dogma. Reject unearned certainty. Build your worldview with reason, with evidence, and with courage. Because the moment you start asking honest questions about what you already believe, that is the moment your mind truly becomes your own.